what this does is if you truly still love that, what a better way to get a client on board than somebody you've already proven results for.
Hey, what's going on? It's Joel Irwin. Welcome to another very special episode of Experts Unleashed. Today, you are in for an amazing treat. I've got a very special guest here, Bentley, who is going to be talking about $1 million per month agency. Now, I don't want to sound all hypey. I don't want to get this, heading in the wrong direction of where this might sound clickbaity. Ian has been a member of one of my mentorship programs, and going through his marketing stuff, going through his messaging, and going through what it is that he actually teaches. We also had a consulting session a few months ago. I got really turned on by his business model. Now, for those of you who are in the agency world, I know we have a lot of you inside of the agency world. This is going to be a conversation that I think you're going to find fascinating because it flips the traditional business model for agencies on its head. Now, Ian was able to take his agency, his old agency, to over $1 million per month. And he had a couple of $1 million months. And at his peak, he was able to get his agency to over $10 million per year in revenue. Now, those are pretty big numbers. And you really just can't do that if you're doing the typical retainer model. And so as I've been having multiple conversations with Ian over the past couple of months, I finally just said, dude, I got to get you on the podcast because I have tons of questions I want to ask you. And I know that there's a lot of people in my world that are going to be very interested in this model. So Ian, welcome to the show, my man.
Joel, I appreciate you having me. And, it's an honor, man. Appreciate it.
We're going to have fun today. So, Ian, you are down in Florida. I'm up here in freezing cold Niagara Falls. And so we were just chatting about the weather. We won't dive into the weather here, but just wanted to set some premise of where you're located because I'm very jealous of what you're going to be doing after we get off this interview. But give us a little background, give us a little intro about who you are, what you do, and let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ian Bentley, and where I started was not your typical way of getting into a digital agency. I was a theater major at University of Florida, and I had visions of grandeur to go to New York City and do improv and SNL and all that cool stuff. And right before I graduated the University of Florida, I wound up hooking up with a couple guys in a band. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather be a rock star than a famous actor. So what I did is I stuck around in Gainesville. And as I started doing the band, I said, it would be cool if I could design the flyers and, design the CD cases and things like that. So got myself a computer and learned Photoshop. And then the guy that actually got me the computer is like, hey, you guys have a domain name for your band? And I said, what's that? And I know I'm dating myself, but I just wanted to tell you how far back I go into digital marketing. So I wound up getting the domain name. It was liquidvinyl.com was the name of the band, and started designing the sites for the band. And then eventually people started asking me, hey, can you design sites for my company? So that was the start of my digital agency. And, the typical, hey, let me see if I can get different clients to do their web stuff. Well, fast forward a couple of years, there was a new company called Overture that came out for Yahoo and started delving into Overture and the pay-per-click and started doing people's paid ads for them. Started learning all of that, still getting more clients. Fast forward a few years, the band did not work out the way I wanted to and actually had to settle in beautiful Tampa Bay, Florida. And what wound up happening was wound up meeting with a guy who's in the automotive space. And somebody approached him and said, hey, do you want to buy some leads? And he's like, well, I don't need to buy leads, but I was kind of curious. So he reached out to me. He goes, hey, listen, I spoke with my general manager and apparently these leads things are getting pretty big on the internet. What do you say we kind of, co-op on a company? I'll work on the automotive side of it and you work on the digital marketing side of it and we'll see what happens. Well, fast forward maybe 45 or 60 days after we agreed to do it, we had our literally $10,000 a month, the first month that we did it. And after that, we're like, wait a minute, there is something here. There's something here. We literally just put something on the internet, generated leads, and instantaneously, without having to do anything, there's an air we're making money. And we're like, this is amazing. This is awesome. So what we did is we were like, all right, let's dial it in. He quit his job. I quit my job. And we're like, let's go at it. So what we did is we wound up eventually building what was the largest privately held lead generation company in the automotive space. And we were generating upwards of 100 to 125,000 quotes a month. We were the guys. We were the guys that people were going to. And what was cool about it is we were always 100% focused on SEM. We didn't do any of the emails. We didn't do the co-reg. We didn't do any of the black hat stuff because we knew that if we had quality leads, that we would always be in demand.
Yep.
Well, what wound up happening was the '08 recession happened and all of the digital agencies started going under because the car dealerships kept on cutting all of their budgets. Well, the one thing they didn't cut was leads because they still had to sell people, but they knew what they were paying for. They knew that if they're paying for a lead, that there was an actual ROI behind it and they can justify their spend. So during that recession, we actually blew up because we were the last on the cutting block and we were still able to generate enough quality referrals for our dealerships that they were the ones that were like, we want more of what you have and less of what everybody else has. Mm-hmm. So what wound up happening was we were fortunate enough to get suited by a couple different companies. One of the companies that did, look to acquire us did, and they were a public company called Auto by Tel. And we were able to make a deal that wound up being about a $20 million deal that wound up purchasing our entire company. We had a branded site called autotropolis.com. And we also had another company called Cyber Ventures, which was kind of our SEM agency. So we had a branded site and a different corporation. So we had some different ways that we were able to, have both of them separated, but they were pretty much the same agency essentially. And, that's pretty much the story on how we were able to do it. So it was really all about the pay per lead model. And that is how we were able to literally explode our agency. And the cool thing about it was there's all of these different ways to make money in pay per lead. You can make money retail clients. You can make money on the wholesale level. You can buy, sell on marketplaces all day long. There's so many different ways to generate leads. Nowadays it's everything. I mean, everything from social media to messenger bots to your Google, your Facebook, everything. So there's a lot more opportunity to be able to generate them today than there was, 7 years ago. But that being said, it was just a really cool opportunity and a cool experience, and being able to, take this company literally to a 8-figure sale. We wound up inking on with the company that was public, and we wound up doubling our stock. Wow. That's why we went on board and actually, did the liquidation event, because we saw that there was even more opportunity to make money with the stock. So we did that and stopped working with them a few years back. Pretty much just, hung out, did some semi-retirement. I had visions of grandeur to be a national home builder because I love designing homes and all of the things that go along with that. And after a couple of years of that, I realized I did not love dealing with contractors, dealing with subs. If you've ever built a house, you know what I'm talking about. And I didn't feel like that was the path that I wanted to go at. But along the way, it was always friends, colleagues were always like, hey, how did you do it? Yep. How did you do it? Can you help me out? Can you help me out? And I would help them out. And I wound up getting, quite a number of consulting gigs with, anything from, major multi-level marketing companies to national restaurant franchises to other, automotive lead gen companies in which I would consult with. And fast forward to, about a year and a half ago, I just saw the explosion of, the ability to mentor online. And it was kind of interesting to me. And that's how I came across you, Joel, is doing my research. And that's what entrepreneurs do. Constantly look for other people that are smarter than you to get advice from. And if anybody's listening to anything, regardless if you're an agency or not, that's the $1 million advice. Find people that are better than you at what you do and learn from them. Even if it's one small snippet, you're going to learn so much, and that can literally transform your entire trajectory of a company. Yeah. So I don't want to harp too much about that, but that's how I found you, Joel. And it was exciting, and started getting into, understanding the high ticket parts of it. And, there's a lot of gurus out there that do the same thing. I'm sure I know there's a lot of gurus in the agency space, But you came across as authentic and genuine. And to me, those are the people I like to surround myself with. And went ahead and, engaged with you. And, I've definitely learned quite a bit as far as, the ecosystem of, high ticket and things like that. So now at this point, kind of developed, what we call, it's called pivotandscale.com. And, essentially that is a full-blown mentorship that I put together based off of what's in my head as far as the experiences and all of the know-how, and literally being in digital marketing since the inception. And it's just the entrepreneur in me that couldn't help myself, but to think that, maybe there's something else here other than, starting another company or anything like that. And it's pretty fascinating, because I found after doing this for a little bit that I wake up invigorated every day, like just so invigorated to see the success of the people that are on board and seeing the light bulbs pop and, just the aha moments from all these people. So, I'm finding that not only financially, but also personally, to see this, just a bit of satisfaction, which is really neat. So that's my story, and I'll stick with it.
There's a lot to dissect and dive into there.
Yep.
So the gist is, okay, you launched a pay-per-lead agency, right? And for anyone listening right now, if you want to, the secret to having a business that is not at risk of being on the chopping block is making yourself indispensable. Making sure that, and I don't want to sound cliche, but you have to provide value. Now, as a normal agency charging a monthly retainer, you are providing value, but at some point, if a recession hits or if times get tough, when you get the bean counters or when you get the entrepreneur who's looking at, okay, hey, this month I got to figure out where to cut my costs. They're going to look at, okay, you're $5,000 a month for this retainer. All right, well, I can go without your services for a month or two. Like, that's literally what's going through their head. But on the flip side, if they say, oh, well, I can't go, like, I know I'm getting X number of leads every single month. Like, I can't go without that because that's shutting off my business. And that's essentially what the position that you had was. They're only paying you for every single lead that they're getting. So like, there's that direct ROI. There's that direct benefit saying, okay, if I don't pay this bill, I don't get a lead. Or if I don't pay this lead, like it's done. And
yeah, I call it pay per performance.
Yeah,
it's real simple.
Yep.
All of the other things, as far as, being a normal agency where, you've been taught, I'm not going to say the wrong thing, but you've been taught one thing, how to do things, and that's being able to peddle your services. And when it's all said and done, if you think about it and you get into the mind of your clients, what do they care about? They care about their ROI. They care about the results, and they care about being able to justify any kind of money that comes out of their pocket as an entrepreneur to make sure that it is going to make them a return on their investment. And a lot of the things that happen with a lot of the agencies is you pitch, I'm going to get you this traffic, and I'm going to handle your ad spend, and I'm going to build you these funnels, and I'm going to do your SEO. But when it's all said and done, what is the goal? The goal is to make sure that those clients are making money. So if you offer a pay per performance model, which that's essentially what the pay per lead model is, and there's a lot of different ways that you can skin that cat. If it's per lead, per appointment, you can do hybrid deals if you really are dialed in and get, back end deals and things like that. But essentially, you're just making sure that that person understands that the only money that they're spending with you is going to result in an opportunity to sell their service. And that's the quintessential difference, I believe, as far as, running a pay-per-lead type agency versus the traditional agency, which is selling services.
Yep. So I know a lot of people who are in the agency world right now, and pay-per-lead might not necessarily be new. Maybe it is new to them, right? But this is a way for you to basically have no cap per client, right? If you're a monthly retainer, okay, you're only going to make $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever your agreement is. That's going to come in every single month as long as they want your services, right? And we already talked about you're probably first on the chopping block when they need to cut costs. On the flip side, when it's pay per performance, you have no ceiling. They want to scale up, great, you're going to scale up with them. So it makes a lot of sense. And there's obviously some caveats, or there's some nuances that you have to be aware of with pay-per-lead. So the things that are coming up in my mind right now is like, okay, great. So in our agency, right, I'll call myself a creative boutique agency, right? So we have a lot of creative elements that we have to, we build these mini webinars for clients. So it's not, I wish it was more scalable, meaning like, I wish I could have one funnel and hand it off to, 1,000 different local clients, but that's just not how we are, right? So we have to create, we can do that. And we actually are doing that for one industry, and it's exciting to test out. But, for an agency like that, what are the nuances that I have to be aware of? Is that a good model? Is that a good style to go after pay-per-lead, or should I, stay with my current model of doing a setup fee and then monthly retainer?
So we would have to kind of almost do a deep dive and see what potential audiences are there, and to understand that you can only handle so much as somebody who is actually writing webinars for people and creating funnels for them, right? You have a cap unless you truly want to expand your labor force. And so, how the pay-per-lead model would essentially work is, if we're just talking about your business, it would be essentially, you would go out there and generate leads, and you would also have almost frenemies, competitors, that you would then be able to say, I will sell you people looking for webinars and sell you those leads for X. But as the generator of those leads, you would have the ability to then decipher, are there any kinds of field inputs that would be more interesting for us to handle first, right? So almost pick of the litter.
Yep.
And at that point, you decide, we're going to work these specific leads. If they meet the criteria based off of the web forms and, your lead management system, which, the automations of all of this stuff is amazing. And, learning the idiosyncrasies of all of this is, what I know like the back of my hand. But as far as being able to essentially get those leads in, decipher who do I want to work with based off of the caps and the capabilities that you can actually work. But if you have any extra leads that are coming through, and that's not saying that the quality is any better than the others, you just decide what you want to work, but then you have a network of other people that essentially would buy those leads.
Got it.
What would they do? They'd pay per lead, right? So you would then have the ability to then be a lead generator. You would be one of your own clients or buyers of your lead generation efforts, and then have, however many people that are, like I said, frenemies, that would essentially be able to, funnel leads to them. And when it's all said and done, it's a win-win for almost everybody. So that's how I would envision, your boutique agency.
Yep.
The way I approach it with any agencies that are the normal agencies that literally will get anybody on board that they possibly can. So it's, hey, we're going to peddle our services to literally anybody. It's essentially, the first thing you want to do is you want to be great at one thing. So the first thing is niche down, right? I mean, that's it, right? You have to be able to specialize in one niche, because if you it's almost virtually impossible for you to do the proper research and have the attention to the detail that's needed to service somebody that's only spending $5,000 a month with you, which, by the way, you're probably at a 20% retainer, only making $1,000. Then you got to pay everybody else out. So you're not really making that much money as far as gross is concerned. Plus, there's a lot that goes into it. All the reports that go into the monthly reports, the KPIs, justifying all the traffic, saying how much, how many people and eyeballs we had in your funnel. But what does that matter? Did you make money? Did we make money from your efforts? Right. So it's essentially, migrating to that. And my point is, if you are able to niche down, you instantaneously can have a true vertical that you can be a specialist in, right? Yep. You can know the pain points of not only the consumers on your B2C efforts, but you can know the pain points and all the acronyms and all the lingo and everything that goes along with actually having your, perfect client avatar on the other end, and be able to say, okay, I know exactly what these guys need. Now, The beautiful thing about the pay per lead is if they're already with an agency, great. I'm not trying to have you fire your agency, but can you handle an extra couple of appointments a day?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and give them to you. Right. So you're not competing against the other agencies that are out there trying to steal all of that business away on a retainer model. Right. And that's a quintessential difference between being able to say, I have something, a commodity, opportunities that you only pay on performance. If I give them to you, you pay me. And it just makes it a different conversation than probably 99% of the agencies that are out there just trying to bang their head against and trying to figure out. So, your client acquisition becomes more of a simple pitch. You're offering a guarantee of results. I guarantee you, I will give you high quality leads. If I don't, we walk away, right? But we didn't get in bed with each other, we're just literally, hey, we're passing by, and if I'm delivering leads to you that you're selling, you're going to pay me more for the leads. You're going to ask more for more leads, and I'm going to give you more leads. So therefore, your ROI on a lead for a retail client should be way more than 20%. Mm-hmm. Okay. So therefore, you're making money per lead. You have pretty much everything automated. So there's automation systems. Once you have your B2C funnels set up, you have automation systems that literally it just works. Yep. 24/7. And the nice thing about it is, you're streamlining all your ads. You're able to work on your company instead of in it. You're able to utilize the analytics that happen. You're able to really pay attention to your B2C funnels. You're able to slice them up in so many different ways. You just don't have the time to do it if you're only making $5,000 or $10,000 from a client. Yep. But when it's your own entity, when it's your own asset, when it's your own third-party site that's generating it, the quintessential difference in pay per lead versus regular agencies is you own it. You're working for yourself. Yep. You're building an asset that potentially could be sellable. Where when you're just doing the quintessential agency model, all you're doing is you're making other people money, and you're hoping that you do it, and you're hoping that you don't get fired. Because there's so much effort that goes along with building out somebody's campaign, especially in different industries. So you're able to keep your labor down. And I haven't even talked about the wholesale. Yep. Part of leads. So if you're in any kind of industry, and the way I approach anybody who comes in through the program is to make sure that it's a competitive industry. You have to make sure it's competitive. If there's a lot of people looking for it, it means that there's a lot of demand. And if there's a lot of demand, it means that there's a lot of people that are looking for those people. Yep. Right. So, with webinars, little less of a opportunity. Cars, there's tens of millions of searches every single month. Yep. Right. There's 28 to 32,000 dealerships around the nation, just in the US alone. So you have a big opportunity. And just think about it. If you were able to get, over the course of 3 or 5 years, 500 dealerships on board, and you sell them an average of, let's say, $2,500 worth of leads a month, you're making a lot of money. Yep. But you're only focusing on one funnel, your asset. So it completely changes the game as far as being able to just do that mind shift. It's just a mindset shift, essentially, from pay per lead to the traditional agency. So
as you shift from this style agency, and this is basically reselling the leads, right? So what you're recommending is the agency front the paid the ads and then resell them to the client. Is that correct? Or do you have the client fund the ads?
So the way I say the same thing. Would you ever expect to drive a car off the lot without paying for it? And the answer is always no. Mm-hmm. So would you ever expect to send thousands of dollars of data to somebody and hope they pay the invoice? The answer is no. But what you do is you say, okay, if you can handle, let's say 40 leads a month, 50 leads a month, great, not a problem. They're $50 a pop. That's $2,500. You just go ahead and put $2,500 into your account. And as the leads come in, it gets debited. right? So they know, hey, listen, I paid with credit card, not a problem. I'm protected by American Express or whatever it might be. You're not going to steal my money. It's just I'm paying you in advance for the leads. And as the leads come through, when I get to zero, it automatically replenishes. So you're taking that money and using their money for the ad spend to generate their leads. So your
so they're paying you in advance. Right.
What's that?
Yeah. They're paying you in advance. They're funding your leads in advance.
You have to. Now, there is another aspect to the pay per lead as far as a wholesale level is concerned, where yes, you're right. You do front the cash, the ad spend, and then sell them on a wholesale level, right? So there is that other aspect of a money-making opportunity within pay per lead within the marketplaces that do allow you to make money. But if you don't have that money up front for retail clients, then yes, you're having to fork that bill. So there's, and what I teach is there's a fine line. There's a good hybrid approach to being able to monetize all of it at the same time without having to come too much out of pocket. Right. And there's, without truly understanding the industry, it's hard to be able to dive in there and figure that out unless, somebody like me, who's literally, we built all of our technology.
Yeah.
Nowadays there's technology out there that you can utilize. So, it makes it much easier for the guys out there that are looking to transition. But, as far as just understanding the, all of the inner workings of, the moving parts that are happening and how to truly execute it, it's, there's a lot there. So it's years of experience that.
Well, let's talk about that real quick, the transition part, right? So if somebody's got an existing agency out there, they're listening to this podcast, they realize I'm severely capped with my workload and my potential with my current model. They like the idea of pay per lead. How simple is it to just make the switch? Like, do they just, the next client they pitch, it's okay, listen, it's pay for performance. I mean, is it that simple, or is there a lot of infrastructure that needs to be reworked when they switch to this model?
There's work that needs to be done. I'm not going to lie. This is not a get rich quick scheme by any means. This is essentially rebuilding and retooling your agency. But if you look at it this way, you're used to getting clients on board that say, I need this and I need to do X, Y, and Z for me. And if you just say, I'm my new client. Great. I was just approached by, if it's in the automotive space, Auto Trader or Cars Guru or Kelley Blue Book, to be able to generate leads for that one website. As an agency, you do everything you can to be able to be successful to generate leads for that one website. And that's essentially what you're doing for yourself. So you do have to build the asset. There are specific strategic ways that are different than like your typical ClickFunnels, which, you have one or two landing pages. You'll have an enormous amount of ways that you can chop that up, right? All the different ways, because it's all about conversion to lead. So understanding those mechanisms are very important as a marketer. And then of course, having the systems to be able to automate so that when a lead comes in and you have somebody that's in Buffalo, that's looking for, let's say, a mortgage, right? That mortgage broker is willing to take a 100-mile radius around a specific zip code. So great. You want to have the systems that as soon as a lead comes in, that it will automatically know that that person is available and willing to buy that lead at a certain cost, and you send it to them automatically. And having those systems in place, they do take a little bit of time. I would say, if you've got a agency that, has a team, you're probably looking at a 60-day way to, if you said, okay, let's go ahead and build a site, let's get the campaigns going, and let's get the technology in place where we need it to be. I would say you're looking at 60 days is nothing. It's, nothing, but, looking at it at a different way to look at it is you don't stop what you're doing. I always tell all of my members, I say, you never stop what you're doing. You're making money doing something. Don't stop. Mm-hmm. Just look at it as you are another client. Yep. And if you look at it like that and you build that holistically and you get everything in place, you'll see that it's easier to sell and it's easier to really pay attention to something that you own rather than what somebody else owns. And as soon as it starts getting its momentum, you put your foot on the pedal and you go as fast as you possibly can. And by having those mindsets in place, then you'll see that, let's say it's by the end of a 12-month run rate. If you, let's say on average, you get a $2,000 client, 50 leads a month, that would be one client a week, 4 clients a month. If you do the math, and I did this for my members, by the end of 12 months, you're at $1 million run rate. You're a 7-figure agency. Yep. And it's funny because I see all these gurus are like, oh, get 0 to 10K real quickly. And I'm like, it's not even in my ballpark. I don't even understand that. I'm like, let's get 0 to 7 figures in 1 year. So it's a different mindset, different strategies, and just really understanding that, building something that you're going to own is a whole different entrepreneur experience as an agency shift from what you were doing for people, as far as just doing their services for them. So,
yeah, it's also like, in my mind, running an agency for 5 years now, if I think about like some of the other benefits of this model, where it sounds like there's a lot less customer service with this model too, because it's like, okay, either pay for the leads or you don't. I'm going to send you leads or I don't. And it's not, oh, how's my funnel doing? Or can we change this headline? It's like, no, like this is the funnel that's proven to work. You're buying the result from the funnel. And either you like it or you don't, you stay on or you don't. And that's one of the biggest things that gets people really just hating their work is the customer service aspect of like the never ending service requests, the never ending, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, or like the fires that are never put out. It's like you're building something where you control the fire at all times, because there's always going to be something burning. That's your fuel, right? But it's not your customer throwing logs on or throwing gasoline on it and starting a fire over here or starting something over here, which they notoriously do, especially if they have access to all the marketing assets, which a lot of agencies give access to that. This sounds like it's a lot less work on the customer service part and the client fulfillment part.
When you get somebody on board, there's an SOP that says, hey, we got a new client in this specific area, pump up the spend there, right? Yep. Simple add-ons. I'm not going to say really simple. You have to have a strategy in place, but, and then as far as on a monthly basis, hey, let's check in. Do you mind sending me some sales data? That way we can reverse engineer and find out where those leads are coming from so we can get you more.
Yep.
And that's it. And don't get me wrong. Listen, there's going to be clients on board that think that your leads suck. They are. And one of the processes is try to vet the people ahead of time to make sure that they do have the CRMs, that they do have the processes in place, that they can handle an extra 2 or 3 appointments a day, right? You don't want to shove anything down somebody's throat if they can't swallow it. And understanding that process as well will make your life much easier during the sales process, because sometimes you have to say it's not a right fit. Mm-hmm. Whereas a digital agency, when have you ever said, I'm not going to take somebody's money? Yep. So you want to focus on getting the right guys on board, right companies on board that will have a retention, right? And guess what? Even if something happens where all of a sudden it's not working out for that one company in, let's say, Buffalo, well, there's 7 or 8 other companies that will easily take those leads. Or you already have 7 or 8 companies that are taking those leads in Buffalo and you have them on round robin, right? So somebody drops off, doesn't matter. So it becomes a whole different mindset, automation. And yes, you're right. There is virtually, if you wanted there to be, you don't even have to have touch points. I always say you should have a touch point, at least a monthly touch point. And it's really to be like, hey, how much did you sell? And if you didn't sell a lot, what's the problem? And if you sold a lot, do you want more?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where do you see, this sounds like it's ideal for like local niches, like local businesses that can be duplicatable so you can be scalable as an agency, right? Because the last thing that we want to do is create multiple assets for multiple verticals. You talked about that in the beginning. It's really, really important to niche down. So am I understanding that correctly? It's probably most ideal for those local businesses because you can scale across multiple states, the country, or what have you?
Yeah. I mean, we have members in 5 different countries that are doing this. I mean, Australia, Canada, Spain, UK, US. So this is global agnostic as far as the strategy is concerned. And really, it's just a matter of finding people that are looking to sell something in a specific niche. So, auto, loans, real estate, any kind of home services. I mean, I'm sure that you get those coupon books all day long, or those little, books that you come for free, and you see all these companies that are spending, these AC companies spending all this money on these tune-ups, right? That's your perfect client, because, hey, listen, I know you're spending all of this damn money on stuff that you really don't know it's working. How about I just send you appointments? And then you just find these people, and it's a rinse and repeat type sales process. We have that process in place. We go through all of the sales training. We go through, how you get through, your VSL, and be able to pre-frame somebody and understand that there is a mechanism to make somebody know that there's an exclusivity to purchasing your leads, that it's not for everybody, which makes them want it more.
Yep.
And having those, psychological advantages as far as your sales pitch. You know this better than I, Joel. But yeah, med spas, solar, finance. I mean, insurance. Just think it's pretty much anything. I got one guy that's actually doing IV therapy. He's like, there's not one single third-party IV therapy company out there right now. He's like, I'm gonna start the industry. You know what? He's gonna be a multimillionaire.
Yep.
Right? Because when it's all said and done, people are looking for the right advice on, if I'm looking to possibly get IV therapy, do I want to go to Google and do some research? And, I got 1 5-star and 1 1-star. Great. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. And then you go and you do some Yelp, and it's the same type of mechanism. And then there's 5 or 6 of them that are local. And you find this one company. It's like, hey, listen, we've already done the vetting for you. Here's the person that we recommend. Great. I'll go with them. I did recognize them amongst my search. Boom, lead. Made money.
Yep.
Right. Rinse and repeat.
Love it, dude.
Yeah.
Man, this, the opportunist in me, the entrepreneur in me, like, I've been like battling this, not battling it, but like trying to fight off I'm just going to go start another agency and just blow it up, because I love it. I have experience, so like it makes total sense to me, but I really wanted like my audience to hear it, because hopefully they understand how excited I'm getting. And it gets them excited about the opportunity and gets them to contact you, because it makes so much sense. It is infinite scalability for you without the complexity of having to build multiple assets. And it's like, there aren't many businesses out there that you can do this with, meaning like this, you have one asset that can be scaled across dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of clients with very little additional overhead or workload for you, right? It's that pay for performance model, which is the ultimate win for the client, which makes it super easy to get clients. Like, that's the ultimate, it should not, like, client acquisition should not be your hurdle in this business model.
No. And people understand it. And the thing about it is as long as you can convey that you know what you're doing, and that you've got a good process, and you have some success with other clients, no matter what, every single industry is a copycat industry. Mm-hmm. For example, if there is a sniff of a brand new type of mechanism, let's say, messenger bots are the newest big thing. And this is, a year ago in the car business, my God, how quickly can I get messenger bots on my website? Yep. Right. Why do you have messenger bot? So I can generate leads. Yep. Right. It's just the mechanisms on how you can get potential opportunities in front of salespeople and sell them at a conversion rate that makes sure that you can justify your ROI. It becomes very simple. And as long as you can tune in into a specific niche, be able to generate those leads. And again, there are wholesale opportunities that you can purchase those leads and resell them. So you have other mechanisms so that you can fill your buckets. And this is all the technology and things like, ping post systems that most people have no idea what they are, but I can tell you within 1 hour, how you can create this perfectly harmonious ping post system and make sure that, it flows properly with your entire ecosystem of your agency. And the thing is, and don't get me wrong, there is something to be said about new clients, about generating, branding and social media and all of these creative juices that, probably as an agency owner, you love. What this does is, if you truly still love that, what a better way to get a client on board than somebody you've already proven results for.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. You
Yep.
can't. Hey, listen, we've been doing business for 4 or 5 months. I've made you a bunch of money on leads. Why don't we talk about taking over your branding?
Yep.
Right. And then boom, now you have the agency that you thought it was. And if you at that point want to take that work on because you love it, then you do. But then you're not having to worry about finding anybody and everybody that will that can take your money. You know that these people are successful. You know that they've got some money now.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and invest it in a different way in my agency. So all of these things as an entrepreneur, and again, it's the entrepreneur that is going to take this model and run with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. You have to be able to be like, I can see that this can easily scale to a 7-figure run rate in just 12 months by just getting one client a week.
Yep. Yeah. Right. It's, I hope people are understanding like how excited I am about this. Like when I get excited, I'm an offer guy. Like I hope it's just getting conveyed across the radio waves because, for the right people, like they are going to smash this out of the park. Because one of the most difficult things to do for any agency owner is client acquisition. It's like, okay, you're great. You're skilled at marketing. You're great. You're skilled at getting clients for other people and leads for other people, but you struggle to get it for yourself. Well, because it's difficult, right? If you're an agency, you have to separate yourself. Like, what's the best way to differentiate yourself? Come up with a no-brainer guarantee. Like a guarantee is what sells the most. And if you can guarantee them leads, okay, you're going to get people to take you up on it, especially when they don't have to pay a $10,000 setup fee or a $5,000 setup or whatever it is, right? It's the most no-brainer offer out there for business owners. And so it makes so much sense. I mean, we've talked about all the great benefits of this. I mean, it's easily scalable. You don't have to create multiple assets. It's one asset that's being resold to multiple clients, and it just provides a very lucrative lifestyle and business model for agency owners.
And I'm glad you brought up lifestyle.
What's that?
I'm glad you brought up lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because it's the guys that have come on board that when I tell you, like this one guy, Chris, when I talk to him, his energy level is low. And he's like, I make $130,000 a month with my agency and I hate it. I hate it because these damn people come on board and we put our heart and soul into their campaigns and we build this out. And then 3 months later, they fire us. Like it's demoralizing. Mm-hmm. Right. And what you do is you take away all of that. Does it suck if you lose a client? Yeah. But it's not like, wow, we put so much heart and soul into it. No, we've got an entity that's going to pound out leads all day long as a commodity and distribute them and be a service to your clients and generate leads and high quality opportunities for them so that they can sell whatever they're selling. And that's it. That's it. So everything's streamlined. Your ad ops are streamlined. If you have a $500,000 agency, you probably employ 40 or 50 people.
Yeah. Right.
We had, at the time that we sold, we were doing, we did upwards of 10 million bucks that year. I think we had 11 employees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outsourced our development. Nowadays there's SaaS out there that can pretty much do what you need it to do.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, we had literally 3 ad ops guys for over 100,000 quotes coming in every single month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's wild. I love this model. I really do. It makes a ton of sense. Ian, where can people check you out? Like where can they get more information to take the next step?
Yeah, absolutely. Pivotandscale.com. That's our brand that we're building right now. We're seeing an enormous amount of success with the people that are coming on board. It's the light bulb moments. It's I can't believe I haven't been doing this. And, now I'm doing it and now it's great. So yeah, pivotandscale.com. And, like I said, we're just building our brand right now and we're really super excited about it. And, we're looking to essentially partner up with entrepreneurs and agency owners that are really just sick of the churn or have the vision to be able to say, you know what, I'd rather get from point A to point B much faster and have the mentorship ready to go and have the soundboard of a guy like me that essentially you can't find. Like I did the research like before I jumped into this. I'm like, who's done what I've done?
Yep.
Nobody. And it's like, there's people out there that are doing some pay per lead. And yeah, have they had, a couple successful $100,000 months? Great. It's not hard to do, but that doesn't mean that you've truly built, a 8-figure business, right? And all of the idiosyncrasies that go along with it and all those mistakes that I made. And then looking back at my career with, that specific company, I can now understand why things fell into place. And to me, that's so important to be like, if somebody asks me a question, well, when I give them an answer, it's because I've lived it, and it's just this, it's just an interesting way of approaching things. So like I said, it's just, any agency owners, any entrepreneurs that really are like, there's an opportunity here and we have some talented people either on the sales side or on ad op side, or you had some success with other clients in a specific niche and are just ready for something that's more streamlined. It's a great opportunity to at least explore to see if it might be a good fit.
So. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for those that are ready, that understand the model, that understand the opportunity, because the level of scale is limitless, and the lifestyle that people can get is ideal. Yeah. Ian, man, it's been a pleasure. It's always great connecting with you. You're a brilliant mind, and not many people can disseminate that information as well as you can, and not many people can see that opportunity and take it to the level that you did. Because a lot of people can see, just like you talk about, okay, pay-per lead, maybe not the newest concept out there, but if you want to take it to $1 million a month or even $200,000 a month, right? You got to have the systems, got to have the processes in place to allow you to do that. And that's where your unique skill set and your unique combination of skill sets come into play, because it's not easy to have that continued and repetitive success. So I applaud you for that. It's very obvious how intelligent you are, because not many people can get to that level and enjoy that semi-retired lifestyle that you have. But now you're back out of retirement, and it's great to see you.
Hey man, again, thank you for hosting me here. And you are probably one of the people that have, throughout the story, and I tell this to my wife, is the exciting part about what I'm doing right now is I can be part of somebody's story when they look back and say, I just ran across Ian's ad and I clicked on it because there was something there and I went ahead and invested. And at that point, that was the changing point in my life. And that made me a millionaire. And it's all because of Ian. And it's those thoughts of being able to change the lives of people, both financially and to actually like what they're doing, is to me what's allowing me to wake up in the morning excited, like almost like not being able to sleep at night, because I'm like, how can I add more value to everybody that's on board? So I can tell you are one of those guys from, being a part of, some of your programs, that you're the same way. You've got that entrepreneur spirit. And I can tell from, you being engaged and just constantly being able to add value to people, that you're of the like-mindedness as myself. And, I wish you nothing but success. And, if we can get a pay-per-lead company going for you, then I hope I'm part of that story for you, man.
Trust me, if we do it,
love it.
You're going to be a part of it. So
sounds great, man.
Awesome. So if you're listening right now, please reach out to Ian. Check out his website, pivotandscale.com. Reach out to him. Let him know you heard him on Experts Unleashed. And we'll see you all on the next episode. Take care.